Fox News alert now. Crews working today to repair the damage caused by that massive winter storm. That snow and especially the ice knocking out power to more than 1 million Americans, most of them on the East Coast. Pennsylvania hit the hardest, 850,000 in the dark. Villanova University down in Philadelphia taking care of students stuck on campus there this way.
There are some students who can't get home, so we've done a couple of things. Probably the most important thing that we have done is our main dining hall is going to be serving hot food and is going to be heated with an emergency generator and open all night.
All right, now this is what happens, Rick Leventhal from our newsroom. When the ice comes down, it gets heavy, it brings the trees down, The trees bring down the power lines, and it gets bad. Good morning.
It does, Bill. And if you know anyone in the Philadelphia area, there's about a 50-50 chance they don't have power this morning. In fact, much of the Delaware Valley has been in the dark since soon after yesterday's storm hit and may not get electricity restored until the weekend. The storm brought heavy snow and freezing rain and that thick coating of ice on trees and power lines, which in turn brought some lines down. And as you heard, Villanova University closed yesterday because of a campus-wide power and heat outage. The school will remain shuttered today and tomorrow, students being encouraged to go home if they can, and if not, the main dining hall is being powered by an emergency generator, and as you heard, they're serving hot food all day and all night.
Pretty much the power's out everywhere, so, I mean, the food's limited, resources are limited.
I called my parents and like, hey, why don't you just come home? Because we're out for 3 days.
Back to New Jersey. I mean, they told us no school tomorrow a couple hours ago, and then they told us Friday we're out too, and they said we should leave.
But how upset are they really, Bill?
Maybe for a day, but the worst may not be over, right?
Well, that's true. I mean, the weather's still below freezing. There are still ice-coated limbs, wires, and trees, so more of them are expected to fall, and there could be more power outages, even as PECO, one of the oldest and largest utilities in America, is reporting that this outage was a record for a winter storm, peaking at 623,000 powerless homes and businesses in the 5-county Philadelphia area yesterday afternoon. That affected well over 1 million people. So PECO brought in utility crews from Arkansas, Canada, Illinois, Massachusetts, New York, and Ohio to help out, and they've been working all night to restore the power, but still more than 400,000 customers in the dark this morning and tens of thousands more waiting for juice in York and Lancaster counties. The power companies say most customers should be back online by Friday night, but some not till Sunday. And there might be another storm coming, too, Bill.
You're right about that. Remember Toronto around Christmas time? For some folks, it was like 10 days.
Yeah, well.
Tough going. Thank you, Rick. Rick Leventhal in our newsroom on that.
With the weather these days, it is the weather that will not stop. Pennsylvania's under a state of emergency. Roads, trees, and power lines around the state are covered with ice.
This storm disaster is causing serious problems for power companies. This morning, more than 500,000 customers are still blacked out in the Philadelphia area alone. Chip Reed is in Abington, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning, Charlie and Nora. You can see behind me a huge branch that came down because it was caked in ice. And back there you can see a transformer hanging by a thread. This is just one example of situations like this all over this area. In fact, here in Montgomery County, 130,000 people are still without power. They say it's the worst they've seen since Hurricane Sandy. Crews worked through the night trying to restore power to hundreds of thousands of people in parts of Pennsylvania. The storm dumped a foot of snow here, snapping electrical lines and causing blackouts across entire neighborhoods. Residents are trying to stay warm any way they can.
We got a generator, so we got lights, and we got a little bit of heat, so I think we're good for tonight.
Villanova University, which has no heat or electricity on campus, shuttered its doors for the rest of the week.
Power's out everywhere, so, I mean, the food's limited, resources are limited.
In Maryland, the icy mess left 140,000 people in the dark.
I just came in and all the lights are out around, there's nothing open, a lot of trees down. I mean, it's really bad.
Over 100,000 more were without electricity in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, Indiana, and Arkansas. Elsewhere, the problem wasn't a shortage of electricity, but salt. Storm after storm has depleted stockpiles across the country, forcing some cities to leave side streets coated in ice or mix sand with salt to stretch supplies. Store shelves in Illinois were empty, and in Michigan, prices have doubled.
It's very difficult getting salt right now, whether it's bag salt or bulk salt.
Parts of New York were facing a dire situation, according to Governor Andrew Cuomo. He ordered 130 truckloads of salt to be sent to affected communities. New York City has already used up 350,000 tons of salt, almost twice as much as last winter. But the mayor said the city was ready for the next snowfall.
We're planning for 2 days of major storm, and we have the salt reserve necessary for that.
Now, the reason people are so worried about the shortage of salt is that every year in this country, about 1,300 people are killed in accidents on icy roads. And a recent study showed that putting salt on the roads reduces accidents by up to 85%. Charlie and Nora?
Wow, Chip Reed, thank you. And some of those blacked out homes and businesses may get their power back just in time for yet another storm. Meteorologist Megan Glaros of our Chicago station WBBM is watching the new threat.
Good morning, Nora and Charlie. There may be some widespread black ice across the New York metro area today due to bitter cold coming in the wake of yesterday's snow. And we are talking about very cold temperatures from Billings with a high today of 1 below to Chicago at just 7 on off to the East Coast. New York City topping out at 28, 83 degrees, though, for Miami. And the West Coast celebrating with the possibility of rain today. Portland, Oregon could see as much as 2 to 6 inches of snow, and San Francisco as much as 1 inch of rain. Now that system does move to the east, and in the weekend time period, we're looking at 2 different scenarios for a weekend storm system. The first is 2 low pressure systems staying separate as 2 separate storms. That would mean minor snow for the Midwest and the Northeast and rains for the South. But the second possible scenario merges the 2 storm systems off the coast, creating a nor'easter. That would mean major snow and very high accumulations. At this point, Nora and Charlie, the first scenario thankfully looks more likely.